Good morning from here. I'd like to start with a story which is harping back to perhaps concept on even the very first day.
There is a story about a man who falls off a cliff. As he falls, he grabs hold of a branch and, hanging from it, desperately calls out to God to help him. God replies, "I will help you, but you have to obey me." The desperate man says, "No problem, I will obey you for the rest of my life. I trust you. But I need saving right now, and this branch is about to break." God replies, "I'm impressed. Not many have such trust and make such promises. So, now, let go of the branch." There is a long silence, and then the man asks, "Is there anyone else up there who can help me?" No one is there, and so he has to let go. And when he does, he discovers that he was already close to the ground. He was never in any real danger. In fact, he can go back onto the branch and now play there. He has gone from panic to playfulness. That's the difference that feeling secure makes.
So that's the difference that feeling secure makes. So how do you translate that into your everyday life? What are the branches? I don't know if this was on this Sanjeevani, but sometimes all these P's are drawn on the board. What are the P's? Even our own self-image, but possessions and people and place, pounds and pizza. But I'd like to share another video which is also about falling off a cliff, and a slightly different version. So let's go and hear your thoughts on this. This time we'll have it in sound. Let's go back.
Back in 1892, there was an article published in the yearbook of the Swiss Alpine Club. Albert von St. Gallenheim was a geology professor who decades earlier had been hiking in the Alps and fell. And as he fell, he kind of left his body and watched his body repeatedly crashing into the rocks as it was falling. And he wrote in his account of it that he had previously watched people fall, and it was terrifying to watch someone fall. But when he himself was falling, it was a blissful experience. And he said he watched himself getting bloodier and bloodier, and he was totally detached from it. And time seemed to stop for him. The faster he fell, the slower time got for him. And he had time to think about how he needed to twist around as he was falling, so he landed in a snowdrift rather than on the rocks. He had time to think about whether he should take his glasses off so he wouldn't break them. He thought about the class he was supposed to teach next week. He thought about his loved ones who he left behind. All this in a matter of a few seconds while he was falling. And he was so stunned by this experience that he started asking other climbers. And he quickly found 30 other cases and published his collection of 30 cases in the yearbook of the Swiss Alpine Club in 1892.
Just one example of many, but what's nice about this, it's one of the earliest recorded case studies of out-of-body experience, the OBE, and then we've got the NDE, the near-death experiences, of which you can go on YouTube and spend a whole week, days, months watching. And the feeling of liberation, he actually was falling off a cliff and describing a dramatic scene of the body getting injured, but the soul of the being in a blissful state. And nothing was, there was no suffering, certainly. And then in the near-death experiences, they also get into a bliss state, maybe the realization there's nothing to lose, their separation, their security. But what is it that we are practicing then? Because the interesting aspect is, we talked about identification, we can hear it, we can experience it, and we might feel it quite deeply, even seeing these examples. But the game of the lower consciousness, personified as Ravan, doesn't want us to. So this is even these experiences may be there, but we have to understand more about the game. And the Ram and Sita story gave us this kind of framework to continue to work with. I think the Sanjivani gives the ingredients, but we have to continue to make it relevant today, wherever we are on our journey. And then, of course, yesterday, how this maps onto the wheel of time. We are coming back to normal again by coming back to the deity state. This is how we all started. And yeah, we want to see that as a normal, natural state, because the second half of the cycle is actually the fall. Adam has eaten the apple already, and we're trying to manage the fall. So this Confluence Age, I guess we'll be looking into more today, and welcoming your thoughts, your questions, as always. 80%.
Hello, and welcome back. And we are reaching the last of the sessions. Let us create a few minutes of reset experiences. And now that we have the broad idea, first thing we are doing, use the best intellect. And with this best intellect, we understand that the whole physical world is a story. Everything that we saw since morning was a story. And by that we mean it is empty. We are seeing different images, smiling faces, but this is all happening on this screen. That's what we saw yesterday. It is like a film. Images come, images go. This helps us come out of this tangle. Otherwise, we are completely tangled into this fiction. Just to understand it is a film, it's a story that is like a freedom. Paras helps us to come to the real world beyond. And the real world is a world of silence. There is no noise of the story. World of complete stillness. This world is eternal. We see this world in the image of a sky. The real world, all along we are reminding this is not just a meditation experience. This is the important world. This is where the true family is. This world is eternal, exists forever. All are immortal. The real players are here. They are like living stars here. This is the world with the family and the father. True family, true father, and a true self. True home. It is like discovering the biggest lottery. All are immortal, all are divine, all are good. From here, we look in the far, far distance. We see the physical world. And as we prepare to come in the physical world, this invisible witness is coming in the physical. He comes as an invisible traveler. He is the invisible prince. Thank you. The next thing we do is bring the whiteboard. Now we are talking today about the prophets and sages, saints. We are talking about God and where the new knowledge comes from, the Confluence Age. In our last discussion, we saw that in this cycle, in our journey, there are deities at one time, and the rulers of heaven, and the Silver Age deities, they come, and there are warriors, means they are heavenly warriors. They are not fighting battle, but they're adventurous. And then we find ourselves in the world of prophets come here, and sages and saints. They are the ones who wrote scriptures and they had the wisdom of that time. And then there are great scholars and Mahatmas, and there are kings all along. The world is quite entertaining. Lots happening all along. The new prophets are coming. They are gurus, and they are all powerful. There are some miracle men also within this. And then comes the time we said new knowledge comes here. So we are going to see, and of course, along with all this, we are talking about 8.1 billion human souls have come, plus animals. So this physical world is amazingly extensive. There are lots happening here. If you are saying it is a drama, it is like on a scale that is mind-boggling. In other dramas, you don't have oceans and sky and sun as light, and you don't have things like this. In this drama, it is like on a big scale. billions of actors, and amongst them all these, there are deities and warriors and merchants and lawyers. Now we are going to see a little bit more about how this all happens. When the human souls come in this model, human soul comes in the body, human body, in fetus. When the fetus is 3 months old, in the womb, or more accurately, between 3 months and 5 months, but certainly not before 3 months, because even at the age of 3 months, the embryo is a little more than an inch in size. You get an idea. At 12 weeks, it is inch and a half. But all the organs are developed. You can see the eyes and the details you can see. And the brain, in that inch and a half, what side kind of brain will it be? But soul comes in the fetus at that time. And but in some cases, it may be later. When more likely, those who are coming for the first time, they are more likely to come later, maybe 5th month. Those who are coming, reincarnated, they will come little earlier. When the fetus comes, when the soul comes in the fetus, the mother knows this moment. It is called gestation, or no, it is called quickening, because that is the time mother notices the movements. Also, in some cases, the mother starts to have some change in character, and in some cases, they feel like eating certain things they didn't want to eat before. And that kind of pattern, some change of the character, personality is seen. And in this, what we are suspecting, the new soul is in the equation now, and he influences that mind. The one patient I was dealing with, and she said when she was pregnant, she wanted to eat cherry tomatoes, raw cherry tomatoes. And after that, after quickening, in a later pregnancy, she said she wanted to eat. She never felt particularly before she wanted to eat these cherry tomatoes. And so she was doing that. And after delivery, she didn't feel like eating that. But that boy, at that time, the boy was 3 or 4 years of age. And she says this boy likes those cherry tomatoes. So it gives you an idea that the sanskaras of that boy, they were influencing the mind of the mother. So this is going on, and possibly going on. I met another mother in another country, and she said she was 100 days pregnant. She knew 100 days because it was in vitro fertilization. And she said she saw a star near the ceiling, and the next thing she saw a star entering her abdomen. She saw slowly. It is not coming as a slowly, moving in a circle. And then she saw that star entering the abdomen, and she noticed the quickening at the same time. So she tells me the baby, the child, I have seen her soul. She is very clear about this. She herself may not be having knowledge of the soul, but she knows that I have seen her soul. So this 100 days, 3 months, 12 weeks, that is the sort of time the soul enters. And then the soul goes through the childhood, and we saw different phases, the life experiences it goes through. Now we are going to see what happens with prophets in this model, the way we are explaining. The prophets have a different destiny, and their life is different. And the way the soul comes is also different. Let us take the example of Jesus. And we are using the word Jesus to start with. Jesus is the one who is born. There is a body, and he is called Jesus, my mother, father, which means behind this body there is a soul. And life goes on with Jesus. And Jesus was not a prophet. In this model, he was not. But when he was 30 years of age, we know the history, and then what we call Lent period. That is the time when the prophet soul enters the body. In an adult body, the prophet soul enters. And the two souls together play the part afterwards. So the Jesus is there, and also the prophet soul. The Jesus soul possibly had an incarnation before, but he is not playing the part of the prophet. We can call it human soul, and the prophet soul is a separate new soul. And then suddenly this new soul has come from the soul world into the body. He has full experience of 100% soul consciousness. With that is power, and can see clearly what is going wrong. Like if you can see clearly, you can also see what is wrong also. How people are doing things wrong. So he has full conviction about what is done wrong. He has full conviction, and because of that power, he can do miracles also, and all of that is seen, and establishes a religion. And he lived just for some few years. Can you imagine? A religion is established. At the time of cross, both souls leave the body, and they have their destiny. I'm giving the example of Jesus, but the same pattern you will see in all the prophets. And let us take the example of Buddha. You will see again at the age of what is the spelling, Buddha?
Double D, yeah.
So if you take the example, until the age of 30, he was a human, not a prophet. At the age of 30, the big change happens. You will see Muslim Muhammad. He said Archangel Gabriel is using his body. If you more recent examples, Vivekanand, you will hear that at the age of 30 or around that time, there was he himself saw light coming into his forehead, when he was sitting with Ramakrishna, and then there was a magic, his life had some magical destiny people could see. These are more recent ones in the last 2 centuries. Aurobindo was a student in Cambridge University. We went back to India, but by the age of 30, there was a transformation. He went to Pondicherry ashram, and there was a different game after that. So you will see this pattern with everyone. So that is this phenomena of the human soul and the divine soul. And that phenomena is happening. You will see in the, we will give you the historical Bertrand Russell writing Western philosophy, book on Western philosophy. And in that, he's writing about early Christians. What was the understanding in early Christians in the first century after Christ? And they said that the human soul and the divine soul, they are using this language. They say it is because of this that they call it virgin birth. And the Jesus, we do not say Jesus was a virgin birth, but the birth of the prophet, and the divine soul. His birth, there was no aspect of lust in his birth. That's why it is a divine birth. And at the time of death, they put this argument. At the time of death, last words of Christ. Anyone knows what were the last words of Christ? You can type if you had that experience or
Your own
Christian
experience.
experience.
Why have you forsaken me?
Yeah. These are the words. These are words of doubt. Even few hours earlier, he was not saying that. He was saying, "Forgive them. They don't know what they are doing." So there is a difference. At one time there is a very clear conviction, and next phase is that there is a doubt. So what the early Christians in the first century, they said, is that the prophet soul had left. Prophet soul had no bondage with the body, with matter. So he was free, but to live also when he wanted. He's the incarnate. Prophet means incarnate. He has come for a task. He performs the task, and he can live. But the human soul, whom we call Jesus, and prophet soul we call here Christ. So Jesus, he is not as free as the prophet soul. So he is a bit stuck with this body and has to go through the experience of the cross. And he feels suddenly this prophet soul has left, and a bit like having forsaken him. So these were the words, last words of Jesus. And that is the form it took. You will see, as was said, a pattern like this in all the other prophets also. That is, when we are dealing with one body, we tend to think as if the person has transformed suddenly. And that is, but there is at a subtle level, there is something else going on, to be aware of it. There is another soul and coming, and the one soul going, and all this something else going on when we see from spiritual angle. Now let us come to the present time, of the Confluence Age. We said we are going through these different phases. There are different, kings and deities and angels and the prophets and scholars and scientists, different people playing part. Then we reach the Confluence Age. And we said at a confluence age, new knowledge comes. And we also said confluence age is a time when if God is there, he has to play a part here. If someone just stays in the home, we won't call him God. Just as if there is a cardiac surgeon, but he just stays in home, doesn't go to the operation theater. Never, just stays in home. But he's a great cardiac surgeon. Never done any operation anytime. Then you might not call him a surgeon. No one knows whether he's a surgeon. So also here, God has to do something about this human situation. And in this model, God has a part to play. And that is when the confluence age starts, with the incarnation of God. And his incarnation will happen not in a human model, but it happens in the prophetic mode. Just like prophets play the part, so also God has a part to play in a similar way. The incarnation of God is the history of Brahma Kumaris. So the history of Brahma Kumaris, it starts with the first phase. And the first phase, this was in 1936. And what happens in 1936? At that time, in the northwestern place of India, and that area is called Sindh, and the city of Hyderabad. It is a very special place on the planet, Hyderabad. And one human, an individual, and a more householder and a businessman, and his name was Dada Lekhraj. In this case, the age was not 30, but age was 60. It is different. In this respect, it is different. More an adult. And he was minding his own business and family and getting on. But at that age, in 1936, suddenly started getting visions. In this case, the starting position in all the different incarnates, there is some style you see. Sometimes they see miracles or something happening around them. Others getting visions or dreams. This pattern is there in the prophets, prophetic incarnations. At this time, all these people, he was getting visions, Dada Lekhraj was getting visions, and others were also getting visions. Around him, he was the focus, and they would come to see him. Some were getting dreams, and in the dream address, come to this address, very clear dreams. And they come to that address, and then they would get a vision. And visions would be of Krishna, visions of heaven, deities, sometimes God, or their own future. And they would go into trance. So there was soon a gathering around him, and they would be creating some time of silence, meditation at his house. And it was like a nice gathering. But very soon, there were words spoken through him, which Dada Lekhraj himself was not familiar with and did not even agree sometimes. So it was a new knowledge was coming through him. And knowledge came at different times, different aspects. in time, much later, all the jigsaw puzzle got solved. But in the early stages, even Dada Lekraj did not know what to make of this, because this knowledge did not match with the understanding they had before, or the understanding he personally believed in. It was new understanding about many things. And many times in his presence, someone would go into trance. And then she comes out of the trance after 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And he would ask, what did you see? They would say, we saw heaven, we saw Krishna. That would be a pattern. Sometimes it was a pattern like, one family comes to meet Dada Lekraj, family friends, and they come and they have having cup of tea. And along with the family, there is one 6-year-old girl, also their daughter. And this daughter, as soon as you arrive at his house, she runs to this man and clings to him, cries, sobs, and she asks, why you left us? This kind of a question. And they try to, he tries to calm her down, and no, we meet again, let us see, we are here now. So he sort of calms her. She sits there, and so they meet for the next, some 15 minutes. And then after the 15 minutes, parents are going to go. They want to go, family want to go. This girl doesn't want to go. She's ready to give a fight with the parents and want to stay there, stay with him. And seeing a scene like this, they would all wonder what is going on here. This is like some past account from the past life. And they themselves would be wondered, parents would be wondered, what is going on. Even Dada Lekraj would be thinking, she can come again tomorrow. How can we take care of another child, another girl? But she is ready to give a fight, and she wants to stay there, And this would be happening quite often. One time, one 6-year-old girl, another time, 80-year-old man, another time, 30-year-old housewife, someone's mother. This was a pattern, and Dada Lekraj has to just watch this happening. And at one point, Dada Lekraj was told, he is the instrument. It is a time of the task of God. It is God's task right now. God, they use the word Shiva for God. It is a task of Shiv Baba, and that he is just an instrument. And Brahma, Dada Lekraj is just an instrument. His body is used, and the best thing he can do is to surrender. Just allow Brahma to do, allow Shiv Baba to do what he wants, and just let it happen. Surrender your time, you give up your plans of life, what you are going retirement age. You have to surrender that. Surrender your mind, time, your ideas. This is the task, the time of transformation of the world. This is a time of establishment of the golden age, and God's task. And so, and he named Dada Lekraj Brahma. It is like a spiritual name, and it is like a new birth for him. So we use the word Brahma Baba. Baba is a word of endearment. Father, it also means also the father. So there is a Shiv Baba who is for God. We use the word Shiv Baba. Shiv Baba is the Ram of the Sita. And then there is Brahma Baba, who is the instrument. Brahma Baba saw himself as a student, and he did not say, I am the teacher, I am the guru, I am learning. Brahma Baba has gone through the whole cycle and impure, with all the attachments and vices. He says Brahma is a student. Then in time he proved himself to be a good student, and Shiv Baba was the teacher. Yeah, you would like to say anything? You'd like to add anything?
Yeah, just waiting on any questions right now, maybe more taking it in. It's so helpful to see the pattern, understand the context and the phenomena also. We need to be more in the invisible to grasp this new knowledge, because otherwise we can still project it onto physical things. To really grasp the new knowledge is about understanding the invisible. Yeah, but no other questions.
Words that were spoken through Brahma, we call them, they use the word murlis for them. Murli is like a flute recital with that meaning. Singular is just murli, and so we don't use the word sermon or lecture or talk or class, but it is a murli, words spoken by Shiv Baba through Brahma Baba. And we don't use the word Shiv Baba, but the language is just word Baba, and that Baba is for Shiv Baba, and Brahma Baba for Brahma. And that is sometimes language. So this happened, this started in 36 and it continued into 1937. So how many years now? Almost nearing 90 years. And then by 1938, we are talking here something like less than 2 years, maybe more like 18 months. After 18 months, there were it's a huge gathering, the whole city, there was movement. But this kind of, in the city, everyone is interested in this. They are half of them going into a trance, and they are talking about this man, and they are not following the old structure of the society, and it did created a reaction from the society, and it is a bit like one child suddenly want to stay with him, doesn't want to, and someone's mother doesn't want to go back home with him. And all of this, like a society, if it is happening to 400 families, there is a reaction, and in this case, Brahma is told, you surrender. you don't use your own mind here. You just let Shiv Baba do things. So for Brahma, he just have to say, let us see what Shiv Baba does. This kind of attitude of Brahma, leaving it 100% to Shiv Baba, and it is a nice little test for Brahma Baba, to he may have instincts to do something else, but he just would let. But in this, in 1938, they moved away from that Hyderabad city to a different city, which is something like almost 200 kilometers away at that time. 200 kilometers, long distance. And the other city is Karachi. And they just got some houses like almost like a campus near the sea, and just transferred. Those who want to come, come there, and And around 450 people from that town just moved to this place. And out of these 450, around 400 were women. It is like you get an idea how it can create a huge chaos in the society, male-dominated society. We are not talking about year 2026 Britain. We are talking about year 1938 India, and very different attitudes towards women, but the society was different. And that is the start. And the Murli was coming every day, and they were studying the Murli, they were practicing things, and it stayed with that gathering of 450. There is a community in that area, and doing their efforts and managing each other, and continuing with that. And this time, it was a time for personal transformation. The word bhatti is used, more like a furnace. They had time to process what they are learning and bring about this personal transformation, get the basics, not too much, going out, just managing themselves and the relationships amongst them. So that was the time, 1936, 37, 38. And then it continued there in Karachi. In 1950, by that time there was partition of India in between. In 47, there was partition of India, independence of India. And so by 1950, they moved away from Karachi and they came to Rajasthan mountain. And that is where present campus is, and that is Mount Abu. So the main ashram is in Mount Abu in Rajasthan, and it started from 1950 onwards, 1950 to 75 years, that sort of time, in that area. And then the many other expansions happening in different campuses, that is happening. I want to hear let me hear some thoughts from Sarah. You want to add anything?
Well, I found it kind of brilliant to hear the early days stories again. And this time what stood out is the early days, the revolutionary aspects. Almost seeing it today, if in Cambridge suddenly 500 individuals shifted their thinking such that it doesn't relate to the culture and what reaction that would be, but also the surrender of Brahma Baba, first to recognize what happened, but also to allow that the soul of Shiv Baba to, use him as the instrument. So it's also a message for, in a way, how much we're aligned with Ram. Sita also has this relationship with Ram, because our own, trying to fit in with society, it may be against Sita sometimes. It may not look so revolutionary always, but yeah, the quality of that soul, that's what was nice to bring that alive and to learn.
And Sanjay would like to add anything?
Yes, thank you. Well, this story about Dada Lekraj, he was a very rich man, it is told. He has many connections, and he renounced everything, his family, his property. It's very inspiring, you know. It's not a small thing just to see it and take the courage and inspiration. This is holding me in that position also, and I still didn't do the renunciation as he is, and the aim is there. Thank you.
Yeah. So we said this was the story going from 1950 onwards, and Baba continuing through the body of Brahma Baba. One thing that they always had, that time is very short. This was a position they always had, and they always prepared to leave this, prepared to go back home, ever ready for that. That was a constant attitude of everyone. Then comes 1969. In 1969, January, Brahma Baba, he was 93, around that sort of age, he leaves the body. And this was a bit of a surprise for them, because they somehow, you never, this happens with anyone, at any age, you don't think that you don't think you are going to die. You don't think anyone else is going to leave the body. We don't use the word death, leaving the body. So here he left the body, and on one hand, no one knows what is to happen next, because Shiv Baba is to come in only in that body, and suddenly that body is not there. 3 days later, there was a trans messenger, and the name of the trans messenger was Dadi Gulzar. Dadi Gulzar was also one of the senior student with Brahma Baba from 1936. And so here is Dadi Gulzar. She suddenly finds herself, she was taking the message to Shiv Baba, trans messenger. And next thing that happened, Baba, Shiv Baba, came in her body and spoke the Murli. That was on 21st of January 1969. And this was the first Murli spoken through Dadi Gulzar's body. We use the word Avyakt Murlis for that. And Avyakt meeting. And we use the word Bap Dada. In case you want to hear some terminology, it is better you hear the terminology now than later. So Bap Dada, Dada is word for brother, Bap is the word for the father. So here Brahma Baba is our Dada, and Shiv Baba is our Bap. So both souls are together using the body of Dadi Gulzar. This is in 1969, and it continued until 1920s. Dadi Gulzar left the body in 1921 or 22. So the part of Bap Dada continued until as Dadi Gulzar was there. And Bap, the part of Bap continues. It is, Baba said all along, the style will change, but part will continue. And so that is what is happening. Baba's part continues, but the form is different. It is not through that body. we heard about Avyakta Murlis, and that the Murlis that are spoken through Bapdada, we call them Avyakta Murlis. We are also going to see, some slides, some photographs, and also see Baba in the body of Dadi Gulzar. So physical is, you will see the body of Dadi Gulzar, but within the body is Bapdada. It is like we used to go to Madhuban and we used to have this very, very, you have to use your paras to understand that you are not here talking to Dadi Gulzar, but you are talking to Bapdada, The rest of the time, what Dadi Gulzar. Sometimes the meeting is to, it is to, Dadi used to come, sit there, and then there is a silence. She would go, everyone goes in meditation. And in that meditation, then Dadi Gulzar, the soul, leaves the body. You see a little sign when the soul is leaving the body, and goes to Baba to bring the message. And then another 10 minutes later, Baba used to come in the body. Eyes used to open, and Baba is seeing, giving drishti, just looking around. And then Baba used to speak, and that would go for another some 3 hours, 4 hours, and then Baba used to go. But during those 4 hours, you sometimes have a personal meeting with Baba, and body is the same as Dadi Gulzar, but you are not talking to Dadi Gulzar, you're talking to Baba. And Dadi Gulzar was the very, in her yogi, but she did not even know anybody, this kind of thing. But when Baba was there, it is almost like he knows everything, this kind of, he would, that anything is asked, Baba already knew the background, and from that background, Baba would address the situation. Everyone could see that, everyone knew that also. Yeah, let us hear some thoughts from you, and let us see some video, some photographs now, if it is okay.
Yeah, just to say, each time is its own, isn't it? It is right at the time, like the first period where they physically removed themselves from the homes. That was what happened. And of course, now we are learning to really be in the world, not of the world. So no one is leaving the communities. The aim is that really to understand the separation of the soul from the role. The early days of understanding the relationship, first it was through Brahma Baba, then Avyak Bapdada. And if you want to say a bit more, maybe now or later, about the personal meetings, because it was of that time and now is a different time. But what I've heard when you've shared a bit is how personal, and as you said, he knows about you, and it's no less personal now. It's just the times have changed, and the more Sita becomes clear, she can also understand that mind of Ram. But if you want to share any details about that, what it is like, the personal meetings, could be now or another time, or any examples.
Yeah, another time.
Yeah. So let's look at some slides, and we can go through just some images. So you want to share?
Yeah, here is Brahma Baba, and as was said, the body was used by Shiv Baba. The same eyes were used by Shiv Baba. you can get a feel of the early time. The others would come. There would be this small people coming to meet him, see him, small gatherings, big gatherings, personal meetings. Sometimes the Murli was spoken, but this appears to be some small meeting with some gathering. Those one who is seated next to Brahma Baba there is Mama on the other side. And Mama was Brahma Baba's like a right hand and the main instrument for the running of the institution at that time. Possibly Baba is speaking the Murli here, and this is the way it is to happen. Those who are, everyone is sitting in front of Baba, and Baba is speaking, and Baba is to ask Mama to sit in the front when Murli was spoken. I think these are some different other photographs. This is the time, this is in 1950, when they are moving from Karachi to Rajasthan. And so they had to move by train. And once they have reached Gujarat, I think, from Gujarat, they have to go by train towards Mount Abu, Rajasthan. And it's one side of Baba is Mama, and next to Mama is Dadi Kumarika that you can see. On the other side is Didi Manmohini, but this is a scene of that time, maybe in early 1960s or late 1950s.
You look quite young there, didn't they?
Yeah, they look very young.
Yeah. Is.
So much earlier, maybe much earlier.
Mm.
Yeah. Dadi Kumarika, and next to Dadi Kumarika, you see someone by name Ratan Mohini. She's younger and she left the body just a few months ago, and almost reaching 100 years. So that happened recently. But she's younger than everyone else, next to Dadi Kumarika. This is Dadi Janki. She is the one who was responsible for the Western activities, service. This is a scene of a center in London in possibly 19 late 1970s. And in that you see Sudesh Didi in the middle, Dadi Janki, but some have gone to India, I think, so you don't see everyone there. But this is like a Raj Yoga Center, London, Brahma Kumaris, Tennyson Road, that was where the center was at that time. I myself don't recognize everyone. It was some years before I came across.
I recognize Maureen, and I think it's at Wadi.
Yeah, next to Maureen is Wadi.
Mm. Nice. Mhm. I think this is random of Mount Abu. Then back to London.
This was at our inner space inauguration at Regent Street. That was happening in 1994, that sort of time.
Mhm.
This is Baba's Rock in Mount Abu, one mountain where everyone goes for meditation. Sunset time. This is in the campus of Madhuban. Madhuban is the name for our ashram. Gyan Sarovar is another complex and a separate, about 4 or 5 miles from Madhuban. Some of you are familiar already, but just an introduction. Introduction of Confluence Age. We said Confluence Age is the history of Brahma Kumaris. Are we taking a few minutes break and then we meet again?
Yes, you mean the room discussion?
The rooms, yeah.
Okay. Let me just create the rooms. Yes, impromptu. So a chance to perhaps, well, before we do that, do you want to say a little bit about the aim? Because sometimes people ask, is the aim enlightenment? And then maybe we can have that
Sure.
discuss in rooms.
Yeah. The word we use is karmatit. And if we are using the board, we have seen image like this. This is karmatit. When there are any of the old identities, then it is not karmatit. And to become karmatit, there is an effort required and that is what the effort we are doing, and understanding and dropping our bondages with this story world, and become 100% free from all this. That is karmatit. The word enlightenment is the beginning for us to understand the knowledge and realize that is the beginning, and end result is karmatit. And the word enlightenment is used in different way by different people, and the notion of becoming free from all bondages and understanding bondages, understanding ego, that may not be happening everywhere. Just the word enlightenment, getting some vision, is seen as enlightenment. Different traditions, different words, but as long as we know what we mean, our final aim is karmatit.
Yeah, thank you. So maybe we can create some discussion. Before that, maybe a minute to reflect on this question. What is the significance of the Confluence Age? And what is the journey for this to become Kamatit? Like what is that? And let's create a few moments to reflect on the question before we have rooms. We'll see you back in just over 10 minutes. Enjoy. Thank you. Welcome back. Always have the feeling of some kind of family at the end of Sanjeevani, and sometimes we get to actually meet and we see each other and think, I know you, and it's because of these rooms. I hope we didn't chop any conversations off. Sanjeev says it's okay. To be continued. And I will also say that beginning of November we will have a advanced Sanjeevani, so the story never ends. We'll meet again in this format for a weekend. We take a topic each time. Some of you already know. We'll send an email so you'll get all the information to join the mailing list to be involved. Shortly we will be hearing from Melody, who's joining us from Haiti, Wonders of Technology. We are all able to be here. I just want to see if Prashant would like to say anything at this point before we hear from...
Oh, yes, it is so nice to come to Haiti. And hello to Melody.
So Melody's been translating into French from the first part, and so lovely to have you with us. And it would be also if you want to introduce yourself and anything you want to share with us from your experiences. Hi, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Om Shanti. I hope you can hear me well.
Yeah, the
Because,
connection is excellent. We can see and hear you really well. Thank you.
okay, we are far, but yet again, we're so close, right? So my name is Melody, and to make it short, I've been in Guyane for 11 years this year, and I was introduced here in Haiti. And since then, we did have a few issues that had, because of which the center was closed. But that was with Brother Anenta. But and a sister and I, another sister and I, we were so, can we say attached? But we were so touched by all we've learned and from knowledge that now we're trying to reactivate center activities, activate meditation, sharing knowledge around us. And so, yeah, hopefully one day we have a real physical center, even if we feel so connected to the family. And the second thing that maybe I want to share is how I feel about the Confluence Age, the question, because I've had many steps considering that aspect of knowledge. And last reflection I've had on that is how during the Confluence Age, when Baba says we have to die alive, it's really a death. I kind of had to realize that, and it's that old me that is going through experiences in such a different way that from the new me, that it's such a different person that is going through these experiences that it feels like sometimes that the old me is really dying. And sometimes it goes through steps like the steps of grief. Sometimes it would be anger. Sometimes it would be, a little sad. But at the same time, the new me is so enthusiastic to go on and to discover what all this is about that I could understand why Baba says die alive, really. And it's a new life. It goes through steps that would, yes, imply that the old you is dying, but the new you is very refreshing, and it's a new experience. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share about the Confluence Age, and thank you for having me.
So beautiful, thank you. And really, actually, this is the new knowledge, isn't it? The freshness, the new start. but then something also has to die. So we want to create something, we have to do that also.
Yes.
So it would be lovely to create more opportunities to connect. So thank you for sharing. And, we can all learn a lot. I think also the scenes that you're experiencing in different parts of the world, we need to also, Ananta would say, this is coming everywhere, whatever the upheaval. We can't rely on systems. So you'll be able to help us to learn from your experiences. So.
Yes. We could go deeper on that maybe another time, but yes, a lot have been learned through these experiences, and that I understand why they're necessary, because you do discover yourself during challenges.
Beautifully put. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Prashant, like to share anything final? After that, we'll be going to hear some words from Bapdada. So first.
No, yeah, thank you, the Melody, and nice to hear your journey. And as was mentioned, and many parts of the world, they are not having the opportunity to apply knowledge the same as some other areas, and you will be in a better position to help us at another time. I was thinking, all those who have joined, and it is like a great privilege to meet you and appreciate your interest to continue until the last session. We will meet again. We'll have opportunities in advance gatherings. Right now, we are going to listen to Bapdada, the Murli, just a short passage, just to get exposure to what is happening, but also try and understand here is a big thing happening. Maybe we are watching the video, but behind the body and the physical image is God, Ram, one who is the friend of the soul. He's here. So to see that, to listen to it with that awareness, understanding.
Yeah. So we'll be finishing with this drill, and we'll meet again soon. Prashant wants to add something?
No.
Okay.
हलचल आत्माओं 切。